So one of the reasons why I appreciated this chapter was because it kind of lets us know that Oda is not going to be dicking around with the power scaling of his characters in the New World, at least when it comes to Yonko subordinates. In this case, we get like 3 examples of this. First of all, Oprah, who received a direct hit from a Fishman karate attack from Jinbe, seems to be okay in this chapter. And remember, in that situation, Jinbe has the upper hand. Why? Because Oprah is kind of, he's made out of cream or something, and Fishman Karate uses the liquid or the water inside of the opponent's body to make that hit more impactful. So despite the fact that he got a direct hit, he seems pretty okay. Tamago is another character that seems pretty fine in this chapter as well. So Tamago seems fine despite, his little scuffle there with Pedro. So I'm pretty sure they're going to end up fighting, later on at some point in the arc, or, maybe later down the road. But he seems pretty okay. These are tough dudes. These are not pushovers. Also, Oprah was kind of caught off guard because, he's like, hey, Jinbe, what are you doing here? And then, he had no idea that Jinbe was about to hit him because he had no idea that Jinbe was going to betray Big Mom. And then Tamago was barely in the process of morphing into that third form, right? So, it's not like he had any defense up or anything, or he had time to anticipate the explosion, at least not that much time. And Bobbins, yes, I know he looks really bad in the ending because he got his face smashed in. A little bit of his glasses broke and we can see his eye and shit. But, okay, at least he's not KO'd. And yes, I know that doesn't make him look that good, but at the same time, he's not KO'd. And yes, I know that it was a casual kick from Sanji, but at the same time, can you imagine if all of these 3 characters, Oprah, Tamago, and Bobbin, had already been dealt with, if they had already been defeated? That would have been just so disappointing. Super embarrassing for subordinates of a Yonko. Just really, really. It took Luffy, like over a day to deal with Cracker with Nami's help. So yeah, I mean, it's like Oda's like saying, you gotta start taking these guys a little bit more serious than the Doflamingo family, the Doflamingo executives, for example, which were pretty disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. It kind of gets me excited for the commanders, just as a whole, just to be able to see Smoothie and Starch, Katakuri in action. And also just to learn more about the sub-commanders as well. We had a roundtable meeting in this chapter, and we still have dudes like, we have Galette, we have Amande, we have Mondior. So, there's one guy with a mustache that kind of looks like Napoleon, and he also has like one of those hats that Big Mom has. So I just want to see more of these characters because, like, again, I think, honestly, the time for fodder should be over in One Piece, if you know what I mean. Because this is New World. Come on, like, give us a challenge. It's just a lot more fun. However, one of the things that I could totally see people having a problem with from this chapter is the fact that Brook was able to injure Prometheus. I think that's going to be a hot topic of discussion. And see, this is why I was saying in my previous review that I kind of wish that Oda hadn't skipped or hadn't cut from that confrontation between Big Mom and Brook. Because I think it was the last chapter, you could tell, you kind of got the feeling that she was hyping up those homies. She was saying like, good job, Soul King, you were able to deal with the chess pieces, but you'll never be able to deal with these 3, like the Trinity. This is the unholy trinity of homies because they have my soul in them. So she was hyping them up, and then we cut, and then it's like, oh, Prometheus, you want a Band-Aid there? Yeah, thank you, yeah. No, it's like, come on, what happened? Also, another thing that kind of raises like a continuity issue for me, at least when it comes to this scene, was the fact that wasn't Pudding in the last chapter telling Big Mom, hey Big Mom, I want to talk to you about something, but I'm kind of embarrassed to talk to you about it in public or with other people listening, so can we please, can I talk to you in private, pretty much. That's what she was saying. Yet in this chapter, she's basically like spilling the beans on the plan and everything. She's like, ooh, look at my third eye and shit. And yeah, we're going to kill Sanji. We're going to kill the Vince Smokes. Yeah, let's talk about this. And Brook, that's how Brook finds out about this. And I'm assuming he's the only Straw Hat that was left that didn't know about this, right? I think Chopper may not know, but Nami will tell him eventually. So that's another thing. They're probably going to get together in the mirror world and have some type of a reunion so that they can talk about a strategy or a plan to deal with the wedding massacre and also to try and get out of there. Also, I kind of like the fact that in this chapter, it was revealed that Jinbe didn't spin the roulette at all. He's like, fuck that shit. That shit is certain death. So I'm better off just pretending to be under Big Mom, and then it is better for everybody involved if Jinbe just sort of like kept himself alive so that way he can help out that way. Because yeah, it just made no sense for if it was certain death, no matter what the thing landed on, makes perfect sense for him not to spin. So, you know, and I like it because I think we all expected him to spin and lose something. Like people were saying, like I was saying, what did he lose? Because we just, you know, assumed that he had spun the thing, but it's like, no, sometimes the right answer is the most obvious one. And the most obvious one in that situation was to say, fuck no, because if he had died, he would not have been able to help Luffy. Now, going back to the whole Brook and Prometheus thing, so obviously there's a part of information that we're missing, and I think that's done for obvious reasons. So, ever since we entered the time skip, Brook's attacks, at least his most powerful ones, are ice-based, right? As you can see there. So he has some ice techniques up his sleeve. And so I'm thinking what happened. And it's kind of weird too because Prometheus is fire-based. So from an elemental standpoint, like fire should be able to overpower ice. But I mean, if that must have been some kind of crazy ass ice attack that Brook used. And I'm guessing that the reason why Oda didn't show it is because he wants to save that attack for when Brook has a 1v1. Like maybe when they go to Wano and shit, Brook is probably going to be like, oh man, I'm almost at my limit, but I'm going to use this technique that I saved for last. This is the technique that was able to injure the soul of a Yonko. And before he performs that technique, he gets a little flashback of the time when he was able to injure Prometheus with it. And Prometheus was like, shit, mama, shit. Now, it doesn't have to be like an ice-based technique necessarily. It could also be like a soul-based technique, but you know what I mean. Also, despite the fact that it is kind of like a cliche villainous monologue, I do like the part in the chapter where in which Big Mom is breaking down her plan during the wedding, just because it just helps the reader, like, I guess, grasp it a little bit more clearly. So when Sanji sees Pudding's third eye, but by the way, like, Sanji already knows, right, that Pudding has a third eye, because, you know, he saw her use it on Reiju, like, he saw it when she was talking to Reiju. So he's going to be surprised, and then you're just going to shoot him through the eyes, which is pretty gruesome. Like, this is like some, again, it's like the Red Wedding version of One Piece. And then the Vinsmokes are going to have like these pistols on their back, and they're going to be shot to death as well. Which kind of brings me to another point, because we do see Nitro, the jelly there. And I've heard a lot of people say that there has to be some connection between the jelly and Capone, just because of their appearance. You know, they have the cigar, the Cubano or whatever, and then the hat. And so I'm guessing that what happened, because in this chapter, Brule says you can't leave. Like, once you come to Whole Cake Island, there's no fucking way you're leaving alive. So I'm guessing what happened is that, you know, Capone bent the knee. He was like, yes, I'll serve you. And then Big Mom was like, okay, I need you to marry one of my daughters, but also give me some of your lifespan. And he put Capone's lifespan into the homie. But now I'm guessing that that homie is connected to Capone. So Capone is pretty much aware of what her plans are. And that's why Peckham's at one point told Capone, you're underestimating Big Mom, but I'm guessing that Capone knows what the plan is. Capone could even be working together with Pudding to try and overthrow Big Mom at this point, which is kind of a stretch, I think, but at the same time, if I were Capone and I wanted to leave Whole Cake Island, I would not leave Whole Cake Island by just leaving like part of my lifespan there. So I would try and get that back from Big Mom before leaving if I wanted to leave. So that could be one of Capone's goals. Also, the fact that Oda took the time to make Big Mom visualize the events of the wedding pretty much guarantees that we are getting at least the start of a wedding ceremony. Because it would make no sense for him to draw out these panels of like, yeah, Pudding is the bride and shit. And like, yeah, but by the way, we're just going to sneak out of Whole Cake Island in the middle of the night. No, so we are getting the ceremony. I think it's going to be part of the plan. At this point in time, the Straw Hats have an advantage in the fact that most of the Big Mom family think that they're dead or they're captured. So, again, they're going to reunite or they're going to come together to form a plan in the mirror world. Sanji, I like the fact that Oda also clarified, which was something that most fans picked up on, that the fact that the meal that he was arranging for Pudding is actually a combination of all the Straw Hats' favorite food. I don't have the list here, but it was an SBS question where a fan asked Oda, what are the Straw Hats' favorite foods? And obviously Luffy is the meat, which is kind of cool that was the thing that triggered Sanji to kick Bobbin and kind of snap out of his depression, because he was thinking of dying with the Vinsmokes, and then it's like he saw the meat. It's like, wait, no, I have to go back. I have to meet him at the Valley of the End. So he is gonna meet up with Essential in the place where Luffy made that promise. He's gonna give him the bento. He's gonna eat, and I'm excited because this is the beginning of Sanji, you know, working his way up and beginning to kick some ass. So we are getting the wedding. I'm also excited about that. Overall, this chapter is kind of like the chapter that Oda usually does in most arcs, where he's just like telling you to get ready, shit is about to go down. So I thought it was an okay chapter overall. Thank you for watching. Like the review if you did. Subscribe to my channel. Comment down below with your thoughts. Thank you.